continue the coverage of Rachel Morin, taken from this world way too soon. We are continuing the coverage we have been following for a little while now because we want answers. And now we know that the cops may be on to a little more than they've been sharing. And so we're diving into what we know at this time as we continue the coverage of Rachel Morin. Rest in peace, Rachel. Authorities believe that a man that has been seen in surveillance video in a home invasion and an assault of a girl in Los Angeles in March of this year, 2023, killed the 37-year-old mother of 5 while she hiked on a trail thousands of miles away in Maryland last weekend. And so this is a continuous story. We don't really know too much about this other than what little bits of details that the law enforcement continued to give us. And so Rachel Morin, here she was going on a hike, and then before you know it, she's missing. Before you know it, her boyfriend is calling it in, and they're like, where is Rachel? And so her body was discovered the day after she disappeared, naked and beaten in a tunnel along the scenic Ma and Pa Heritage Trail. And then, we find out that maybe there was a friend of a friend who discovered her body. And Harford County Sheriff's Office, they shared that they actually have video surveillance of someone, and they are asking for your help. They're asking for you to please, if you know anything. They're requesting assistance in identifying the picture that you are about to see. Now, if you can identify what little parts of this, but this is the suspect. This is the person they're asking for you to please, if you know anything, share. But this guy is part of a home invasion that occurred earlier this year on what is believed to be a teenager. And when you look at this and you're like, okay, how is this connected? You have something that occurred in Los Angeles, California. Then you have something on the complete opposite side of the country. And DNA is what is said to link this Hispanic man that they believe to have murdered Rachel Morin. And so they shared a clip of him at the house, which is what you just saw. And so they make this announcement today. And in this announcement, they're like, okay, we are on to something. And you know how it goes. They're not going to share too much. But I am so glad to hear that they might be a lot closer than you think. So they showed the video today. And in the video, I found this very, very... my mind, it cannot wrap around this. And so the shock that I have to see how what is said to be the victim, the way she slams the door in the video of the little update that they shared. And you can tell that there's anger. At least for me, there was anger from the side of the victim as she slams the door closed. And so they showed this little clip. I had this queued up, but of course, anytime I'm looking for something, there's always a struggle, and I continue to have it, but I'll find it. But I found it very curious. As you're looking on your screen, you see the victim, I believe to be the victim's arm closing that door. And with that, it's like, okay, number one, notice what they're saying. Approximately 5'9", 160 pounds. Approximately 20 to 30 years old. But what we do want to keep in mind is that they don't really know completely too much. But I'm guessing they're talking to someone in that home. That is probably a fair statement that they're talking to someone in that home because they released this little bit of details, which of course when they release it to the community, it's a lot more to themselves. But they did release this. I don't know if there's more to it, and only on the Hartford County sheriff's part did they share, but they did share this part of that when he's coming out of the door and you can see her arm closing it on there, and look how fast the door is slamming as well. This is to me, look at that little tissel or whatever that thing is, that little ornament on the door, and how much it moves. To me, there is, but if you look at the way he is leaving, he's talking to her. He's talking to what we believe to be the victim, the female. And I'm showing you from the Twitter of Hartford. And again, look at that, the way that little ornament moves and how he's saying something to someone. What is it? Is it an apology? Is it I didn't mean to do it? Is it did they know each other? Is she We do believe that she's underage, so obviously is the sexual assault tied to the age? Is it tied to we don't for this to come out, there's something bad here. This guy is dangerous and we must get him off the street. And just like a lot, someone knows this guy. Someone recognizes the way he moves. That haircut. Someone recognizes that haircut. Someone recognizes that build. The more you see it, the more you're going to get some understanding of what this looks like. And so that's why I'm spending some time on excuse me, that's why I'm spending some time on that. But Rachel Morin, she goes out on a run on August 5th, and that's almost 2 weeks from. In 2 days, it'll be 2 weeks that she goes out on this run. And then now, Hartford County Sheriff's Office, they released this video. And so, please, if you know anything, you are asked to please share. And he has dark hair, muscular build. He is believed to be of Hispanic descent. And you can see approximately 20 to 30 years old. And in the press conference today, in the news conference, Colonel William Davis, he said that everyone with the same goal: find the killer and bring justice to Rachel. And that's why I'm reiterating those words, because justice for Rachel. Something happened to Rachel, and now we're one step closer. And if you know anything, you are encouraged, you're asked, you're begged, please call Harford County Sheriff's Office at the tip line 410-836-7788. And authorities, they said that DNA evidence came back as a match that is tied to the LA case this past March. But unfortunately, they don't know who this suspect is. They have not been able to identify him. That's why they're asking for your help. So if anyone knows anything, and we're finding out that this DNA evidence, they consider the individual, and that this video that they found, they're showing it on here in order to find that this is the person that they believe murdered Rachel Morin on August 5th. And they're asking if you know anything. This is who they believe did it. And so they believe that this culprit is, again, 5'9", 160 pounds. And so you're asked to please, if you know anything. And with that also coming, let's be real. We're glad that they know something, because every day I've been checking. Every day, like, is there going to be any announcement? Is there going to be any announcement? But the boyfriend, of course, he's relieved that they know something. They have someone to look at. And so the boyfriend, of the mother of five, he showed relief. He expressed relief after they finally identified the suspected killer. Again, almost 2 weeks since she was brutally killed. And Rachel, she goes on a hike. You expect that you go on a hike that you come back from your hike. She leaves her car at William Street Trailhead in the center of Bel Air, which is about 20 miles northeast of Baltimore. And Richard Tobin, the boyfriend, which unfortunately, you know how this stuff goes. Of course, everyone's looking at the boyfriend. And he was adamant. I did nothing. I did nothing. You're barking up the wrong tree. And he's the one that called police that evening when she didn't return. And he told them that he found her car where she left it at the trailhead. And so he was being as honest and open in everything he knew from what we can find. But of course, they're always going to look. But right away, the police did rule him out. They said, we interviewed him. He had nothing to do with this. And then her body would be discovered the next day. And so now they're sharing the footage of the Hispanic male that they believe is a Hispanic male and the one who murdered her. And, they're showing this because they're like, okay, he was 3,000 miles away from where the murdered victim occurred. So now they got to tie him to this, right? They got to tie him to whatever they can to figure out, like, what is he doing over in Los Angeles? Or what ties does he have? Because he's going to have some ties, right? If he was 3,000 miles away, there's going to be something. And now that we know there's also DNA, give it some more time. There might be other victims, right? Right now, they got to go through the whole database. I'm just guessing a lot of this, but this is what we do know. But we do know that they know something. And this guy, he broke into this LA home and he attacks a young girl. That's what it's been described as. Now he's connected to Rachel Morin's murder by DNA. So they know there's some tie to this. And so Rachel or Robert Tobin, he shared that, they took his DNA. They ruled him out. Right? And he said, I hope they found this scum of the earth justice for Rachel. Rest in peace. Love you, Rach. He is heartbroken. She literally just announced that I'm in a relationship. Even though there's those rumors about being on dating apps. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Maybe we don't know why she was on the dating apps, but this week, the week that she goes missing, basically, she publicly declares her relationship with Mr. Tobin on Facebook. And let's be real. Generally, if you're gonna put it on Facebook, you're open with it. You're ready. Here, this is what's going on in my life. I wouldn't put it out there. And this was a girl that, she was on dating sites. We do know that. The rumors, are like, there's a good chance she probably met him on a dating app. Let's be real, right? We know that this is serious stuff. But, at the end of the day, not everyone who goes on a dating app ends up dead, right? So obviously this is one of those where it really looks like he has no affiliation with her, and I'm talking about the suspect has no ties to Rachel Morin. And so we can look and suspect that, like, hey, she just announced this and then all of a sudden she winds up dead. Of course it can look like it can look like a number of different things. Now, court records, it did show Morin, who she ran a home cleaning company and, had a history of litigation with her romantic partners, which also led to speculation about who her killer could possibly be. Right? And so, of course, after numerous people on social media expressed suspicion of Tobin, he went on the public record like, hey, I would not do this. I have nothing. Yes, I have a criminal past. That's what he said, right? I have a criminal history. And he goes to Facebook to declare his innocence. And he wrote that he loved Morin. He would never do anything to harm her, to do anything to her. So he goes out there and he's like, I wouldn't do anything. You're barking up the wrong tree. I'm summing it up. But, because we find out about his past. But you know what? That doesn't tie him to lead to murdering someone. And so that's where I had a lot of doubts that he had anything to do with this. And so, even though he has a lengthy rap sheet, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. I felt like I wanted more evidence if I'm going to be blaming him for something it didn't look like he did yet, right? So that was my stance on it. But, Colonel William Davis in the conference, he said, like, we believe that this was a person that Rachel did not know and potentially a random act of violence. So, in his mind and his thoughts, there's no connection to Rachel, or should I say, through their investigation. And he says, we know nothing more about him other than he was in LA in March and we believe him to be the murderer. Now, Colonel Davis, he said that they're not looking for any accomplices, that they believe that he acted alone. And so, but he did tell the local police to be on their guard. He says, we believe the suspect acted alone and he does not represent the entire Hispanic community of Harford County, who we are now partnering with to identify this suspect. So they're leaning into the Hispanic community, like, there's probably a reason that he came from LA, probably in the LA, in the Hispanic portion of LA. We don't really know, but I'm just speculating. And he says that, I know I can speak for the sheriff when I say we are very proud of this community. And they're asking for your help. And sheriffs, they said that the LA home invasion shown in that doorbell camera footage, which I shared with you, that happened in March of this year. And so they believe that he has ties to LA area and may have been involved in violent crimes in other states. That's why they're like, come on, if you know anything at all, hashtag justice for Rachel. And Sheriff Gaylor said that 10 deputies are working to solve this case, and they've received over more than 100 tips. I think it might be up to 300 tips. Not 100% sure, but he says he's urging people, keep sending in whatever tips you have, even if this information seems like it means nothing. It's inconsequential. It doesn't mean anything. Please call it in. And we know that one of her friends are said to have found her and naked and with her head done in the wrong way. And so it's like, rest in peace to Rachel. And please, if you're a person of prayer, please pray for everyone that surrounds this case, especially the person who found her. She is going to have that in the back of her mind for the rest of her life, and it will affect her. So please, if you're a person of prayer, this is a very ugly story. And so I ask that you pray in every which way that that Rachel's family finds justice and a way to keep her name going, because truth is, we want justice for Rachel, and I bet you they are onto something. They are onto something, and the police describe this guy as a very violent person. So you must be on the lookout and watch over your shoulders throughout this whole thing. Okay, so that's kind of what I want to leave it at, because they're saying that they're working around the clock to put this whole thing together, and they're looking to still put together that comprehensive timeline of all the days, all the hours, all the minutes, and the seconds before Rachel died. That is what the sheriff was sharing. And so they said that, please keep bringing those tips. Keep bringing those tips. And, when it comes to a lot of this, you always got to be careful and take everything with a grain of salt with whatever you are reading, whatever's being reported. Sometimes And I've been guilty. Sometimes things are reported a little too soon and then people run with it and it's a little misinformation. Maybe some of it's right, but some of it's wrong. And so I always do my best to be careful, but I'll be honest, it's not always easy because I want to get the story out there. Because truth is, this is about Rachel. Rest in peace, Rachel. Taken from this world way too soon. My goal is that you know this is what could go wrong in this crazy world we live in. So we have to be careful. We have to be safe. We have to be alert. We have to be looking over our shoulders. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in. But don't go in it blindly and be careful. I'm Manny Rodriguez. This has been another episode of Deep True Crime. Rest in peace, Rachel Morin.